Dear participants, welcome to this session on DNA sequencing. I am Shabbir Ahmed, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Biotechnology, Islamia College, Wanyambadi. In this session, I will be discussing on an important technique called DNA sequencing. This is an important technique in basic biological research where it determines the nucleotide sequence of DNA. We all know that nucleotide sequence is the most fundamental level of knowledge of a gene or genome. It is the blueprint that contains the instructions for building an organism. Without obtaining this information, the understanding of genetic function or evolution will remain incomplete. In this session, we shall see what is a DNA sequencing method, its history, who and when it was practiced. Then the method. Here I will be discussing about the two methods, the two important methods. One is the Maxam and Gilbert method, and second is the Sanger's method, and then its automation. Then we will be discussing about the advantages and then its applications. Now let's start this session. The first thing we should know is what is a DNA. The life expectancy of every living entity on Earth depends on DNA. It is as important as water and oxygen. We know that it stores and transfers biological information from one organism to other. It is a kind of blueprint for us. As it transfers or inherits information, here alterations and traits are also inherited into consecutive offsprings. And so it is important, and so it is very important for us to survive. Now if you see that the DNA's major function is to code for proteins. Here the information is encoded in the order of nitrogenous bases, 4 nitrogenous bases, and here this is the structure of DNA. It consists of two chains which are coiled around each other to form a double helical shape. Here the two strands are antiparallel, and the backbone of the DNA molecule, it is composed of alternating phosphate groups and sugars. In the DNA double helix, the 4 bases always bond with the same partner to form base pairs. Adenine, that is the A base pair, always pairs with the thymine, that is T, whereas cytosine, that is C, always pairs with guanine, that is G. So this pairing is the basis for the mechanism by which DNA molecules are copied when cell divide. And the pairing also underlines the method by which DNA sequencing experiments are done. Now coming to DNA sequencing, it is the process in which we determine the order of bases, that is adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine, that is along a DNA strand. It is also to analyze the gene structure and its relation to gene expression as well as the protein conformation. Now it helps in deciphering the code of life, in detecting mutations, typing microorganisms, identifying human haplotypes, human halotypes, designating polymorphism. Now, coming to the history of DNA sequencing, this started in the year 1964 when Richard Hawley, who first performed the sequencing of tRNA. This was the first attempt to sequence the nucleic acid. Using this technique of Hawley and Walter Fisher, they were able to sequence the genome of bacteriophage, that is the RNA sequencing, and they sequenced the RNA. Yet till that time, no DNA sequencing was performed. Later in the year 1977, Frederick Sanger postulated the first method for sequencing the DNA, which he named it as chain termination method. Then in the same year, another two scientists, Maxam and Gilbert, they performed DNA sequencing using the chemical method. Here the genome of bacteriophage was sequenced using the chemical degradation method. Then later on, in the year 1987, the Applied Biosystem developed a fully automated machine controlled DNA sequencing method. After the development of this fully automated machine, this era became a golden period for the sequencing platform. Then in the year 1996, Applied Biosystem developed another innovative sequencing platform, which is currently in the modern automated machines they use it, called as the capillary DNA sequencing. Now coming to the DNA sequencing methods, historically there are two main methods of DNA sequencing. One is the Maxam and Gilbert method, and second is Sanger method. Here the modern sequencing equipment, they use the principle of Sanger method. Now let us see the Maxam and Gilbert method. The Maxam and Gilbert method, this was developed in 1977. It is also called as chemical cleavage method. By using this method, they were succeeded in sequencing 24 nucleotides only. Now if you see the principle, here the single stranded DNA is cleaved at the specific location with the help of the chemicals at a specific base location, and the fragments of DNA is then run on polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis. Now if you see the steps here, DNA extraction is the very first step. After that, the DNA is denatured using the heat denaturation method, and the single stranded DNA is generated as a result of heating. Then it is treated with enzyme. Here the phosphate 5' end of the DNA is removed and it is labeled by the radio labeled P32. Then the enzyme phosphatase, it is subjected to enzyme phosphatase, which removes the phosphate from the DNA, and at the same time the kinase enzyme adds the labeled P32 to the 5' end of it. Here the reaction takes place in four different chemicals are used here to cleave the DNA at four different positions. the hydrazine and hydrazine NaCl, that is sodium chloride, they selectively attack pyrimidine nucleotides, while dimethyl sulfate and piperidine, they attack the purine nucleotides. Here an equal volume of 4 different single stranded DNA samples is taken into 4 different tubes, and in each tube they contain 4 different chemicals. After that, these samples are incubated for some time, and then they are electrophoresed in, then it is electrophoresed in polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis. Now since here we are using the radio labeled P32 and the DNA bands are visualized through autoradiography. Now next is the Sanger's method. This is the most common approach for DNA sequencing. Now this came after a few years of Maxam and Gilbert method. Here the Sangers and co-workers, they first developed a chain termination method of DNA sequencing. Now this is also called as the first generation DNA sequencing method. Now why it is called as chain termination is because of the use of a special type of ddNTP. Now this special type of ddNTPs it is different from the normal dNTP. It passes the hydrogen group instead of the hydroxyl group in the dNTP. Now here the phosphodiester bond that can't form, it cannot form between the two adjacent nucleotides due to the absence of hydroxyl group in the ddNTP, that is the dideoxy NTPs. Here the nucleotide chain can't synthesis further, and hence it is known as the chain termination method. Now since here the reaction gets termination, they got the name as chain termination method. Now if you see the steps in Sanger's sequencing, here the reaction is divided into 4 tubes, that is the reaction A, reaction G, reaction T and reaction C. Now in each tube an equal amount of PCR reagents are added, plus in addition to that extra dTNTPs are added in all the tubes, which is as shown in this table. Now you can see here that is the PCR mix contains the Taq DNA polymerase, DATPs, that is all the dNTPs, PCR buffer and primers. So all are taken in equal amounts, and to this the labeled ddNTPs are taken. Now here the flanking, that is if you see this step, here the primers that bind to the region near to our sequence or to the sequence of our interest, which we are going to read, are the flanking primers. In the next step, the Taq DNA polymerase, it goes on adding the dNTPs to the DNA strand. Now there is the high fidelity of this DNA polymerase is not needed in this step, since the normal Taq DNA polymerase expands the growing DNA strand by the addition of dNTPs. But once it adds the dideoxy NTPs instead of the normal dNTP, the chain expansion is stopped or it gets terminated. This termination process is completed in 4 different tubes for the 4 different ddNTPs. Now once the reaction is completed, the amplified PCR products are loaded onto the polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis. This DNA, here the DNA fragment in the gel, it migrates on the basis of the size. The smaller fragments run faster towards the positive charge than the larger fragments. Now if you see this traditional Sanger sequencing method, it is tedious. So because of this, in the recent advancement in sequencing, they made it easy and rapid to use it. Here there are the semi-automated Sanger sequencing method, which is based on the Sanger's that principle with some minor variations. Here instead of the 4 different reactions, you can see that the automation, that is the automated DNA sequence, it is carried out in the single tube, which means on a gel the DNA runs in a single lane. So that is, you can see that the 4 fluorescent labeled DDNTPs and the PCR master mix, they both are mixed in a single tube. Now in this automated semi-automated DNA sequencing, the fluorescent labeled set of primers are used, that is instead of DDNTPs. The 4 different primers give 4 different peaks. If you see in polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis method, it was not capable of separating all the fragments in the single reaction. Therefore, there it was alternatively the capillary gel electrophoresis method is practiced now. Now this method separates each and every single fragment precisely. So by using these labeled primers or the DNTPs, the machine reads the sequence accurately on a single lane capillary electrophoresis. Here we can sequence more than 300 samples in a single run on an automated DNA sequencing platform. The capillary electrophoresis which we are using to separate DNA molecules, to separate these DNA molecules on the basis of a size. Here it is powerful enough to separate these single base pair fragments. The chromatogram generated through the capillary electrophoresis is sent as the output in the form of a fluorescent peak. You can see the peaks here. Now you shall see the reactions inside the tube. Now you can see the labeled DTNTPs, the primer and the DNTP and a template DNA. So once the reaction, that is it comes when the DDNTP is added, the reaction gets terminated and you can see the output signal here, and each and every color indicates a base pair. Now the advanced semi-automated Sanger sequencing method, here it is more accurate, reliable and faster than the traditional Sanger sequencing method. Here we can see the automated procedure for DNA sequencing, how the sequence is read in the form of a chromatogram, and this is the computer readout of the gel which generates an image where each color corresponds to a base. Here the intensities are translated into peaks that represent the sequence. Now here we shall see the steps in automated DNA sequencing, that is which is used in modern sequencing technology, which is based on the Sanger's principle. So the first step is Here the DNA sample which we are going to sequence is combined with it is taken in a tube along with the primer, the DNA polymerase and the DNTPs, that is the DATP, DTTP, DGTP and DCTP. So the 4 dilabeled chain terminating dideoxynucleotides, that is DDNTPs, are also added here, but here it is taken in a much smaller amount than the ordinary nucleotides. So the mixture is first heated to denature the template DNA. Then it is cooled so that the primer can bind to the single stranded template. Once the primer binds, the temperature is raised again, which allows the DNA polymerase to synthesize new DNA starting from the primer. Now the DNA polymerase, it goes on continuously adding the nucleotides to the chain until it adds a dideoxynucleotide instead of the normal DNTP. So at this point no further nucleotides can be added. So the strand will end with the dideoxynucleotide. So this process is repeated in a number of cycles. Now by the time the cycle is complete, the dideoxynucleotide gets incorporated at every single position of the target DNA in at least one reaction. That is, here the tube will contain fragments of different lengths ending at each of the nucleotide positions in the original DNA. That is, here the ends of the fragments will be labeled with dyes that indicates their final nucleotide. Once the reaction is done, the fragments are run through a long thin tube containing a gel matrix in a process called as the capillary electrophoresis, which you can see here in the screen. So here the short fragments move quickly through the pores of the gel, while the long fragments move more slowly. So as each fragment crosses the finish line, that is, which is at the end of the tube, it gets illuminated by a laser which allows the attached dye to be detected. Now the small fragments, for example, if you take just which is ending with one nucleotide after the primer, it crosses the finish point first. Then this is followed by the next smallest fragment, for example, like 2 nucleotides after the primer. So the process goes on like this. Then hence from the color of the dyes registered, that is one after the another on the detector, as the detector goes on detecting the color of the dyes, the sequence of the original piece of DNA gets built up one nucleotide at a time. So here the data recorded by the detector, it consists of a series of peaks in fluorescence intensity, which you can see it in the chromatogram. The DNA sequence, then it is read from the peaks in the chromatogram. Now with this automated DNA sequencing method based on Sanger's principle has its own uses and limitations. This Sanger's sequencing, though it gives high quality sequence for relatively long stretch of DNA, it can be used to sequence individual pieces of DNA such as bacterial plasmids or which DNA copied in a PCR. Whereas it cannot, this Sanger's sequencing is expensive and it is inefficient for large scale projects such as the sequencing of an entire genome or metagenome. Now, if you see the comparison between the two methods, that is the Sanger's and the Maxim Gilbert method, Sanger's method is enzymatic, whereas it is chemical. In Sanger, it requires DNA synthesis, whereas it requires DNA. Here, there is a termination of chain elongation, whereas here the DNA is broken at different nucleotides. Here, it is automated, whereas in this automation is not available. Now, it needs single stranded DNA, whereas here sequencing can be done in both the double stranded or single stranded DNA. Now let us see some of the advantages and disadvantages. If you see the advantages, it improves the diagnosis of disease, and in the case of biopesticide, it has so many applications here. That is, the use of genomics has helped in enhancing the biopesticide research. Now, the analysis of the genome of the insect killing fungus has also helped in developing effective biopesticides. It has helped in identifying the crime suspects. At the same time, it poses some disadvantages, which we have even discussed in the earlier slide. That is, here the whole genome cannot be sequenced at once, and this process is very slow and time consuming. Now, if you see the applications, the knowledge of DNA sequence has served so many purposes. It can be used to find genes or its segment of DNA that code for specific protein or phenotype. Now, if you see a region of DNA which has been sequenced, it can be screened for characteristic features of that gene. For example, you can see the open reading frames, which is a long sequence that begins with a start codon, and here there is no interruption, that is, it is uninterrupted by stop codon. So this suggests that this is a protein coding region, so this can be screened. And another thing is that the homologous DNA sequences of different organisms can also be compared in order to plot evolutionary relationships both within and between species. And also, if you see that a gene sequence can be screened for functional regions. Now, for example, to determine the function of a gene, various domains can be identified that are common to proteins of similar function. Now, apart from that, it has other functions in various fields. Apart from that, as shown in this slide, it has function. It has so many applications in evolutionary biology, then virology, medicines, forensic. In molecular biology, it is used to study genomes and proteins that code, as I mentioned, and it is the information which is obtained using sequencing. It helps the researcher to identify that is, the researchers can identify the changes in genes which is associated with disease and phenotypes, and they can also identify the potential target drugs. As in the evolutionary biology, as I mentioned, this is a DNA. Here it's a informative macromolecule in terms of transmission from one generation to another. This DNA sequence is used in evolutionary biology to study how different organisms are related and how they evolved. Now, if you see it in the case of virology, we know that viruses are very small and it can be seen only through a light microscope. So here sequencing is one of the most main or the vital tool in virology to identify and study the viruses. Here the Sanger sequencing, that is the traditional one, and the next generation sequencing, both are used to sequence viruses in basic and clinical research, as well as for the diagnosis of emerging viral infections. As we all are aware, now the present situation, we are all affected by the COVID-19. So here the molecular epidemiology of viral pathogens and drug resistance testing are also aided with the help of this DNA sequencing. Now if you see, there are more than 2.3 million unique viral sequences in GenBank, including the deadly viral strains also. So this is how the DNA sequencing is very important in diagnosing diseases, and it has several other functions. Now coming to the forensic application, it helps to identify individuals because each individual has a different genetic sequence. In medicine, it can help to detect genes which are also linked to various genetic disorders, which we know mostly the muscular dystrophy. And as I told, in agriculture, it has various applications like the mapping and sequencing of a genome of microorganisms, which has helped to make them useful for crop and food plant. Thank you participants for your patience listening. I also like to thank the organizing secretary of this 3-day online national level workshop on DNA barcoding, Dr. H. Abdul Jafar Ali, for giving me this opportunity. So thank you everyone.